Well, welcome back everyone to another market update, this time with awesome new graphics by Joe. Joe, thank you so much. Can't wait to explore a little bit more. I feel like I've learned from yesterday a lot, and we have a little bit of a better setup, I think, today. I'm excited about it. Love to highlight Mitch over at the Midtown Merchant and also my collection tracker. Go ahead and head over to patreon.com/KitchenTableTCG if you want access to a collection tracker that utilizes all of this data with my market updates. And then also, as part of my Patreon, you do get a 10% off discount code every month for Midtown Merchant. And if you're not a patron, you can use the promo code Be Kind to save $5 off your order of $50 or more. All right, let's hop into Crucible of War. I'm super excited. This is going to be a fun update video. It's going to be good. There's a lot of good stuff to talk about. So right now with sealed product, we are still in this kind of standstill where things are just kind of moving laterally. We're still at the $875 mark. That's about the same we were last week. There is some kind of all over the place on the market, but sold listings, as you can see here, in the $900 range. You're seeing a lot of cases being picked up right now. Really a lot of cases sold this week. 3,800, 3,500. There's a box that sold for 1,100. TCG player had one for like 850. So 875 really does seem to be around the price currently, and this would be where we're at sitting. You can see the prices, we went up and now they've kind of flatlined. We've been at flat prices for almost 2 months now. It's a pretty incredible downturn and then just kind of sitting flat. So all right, let's hop into our peak price end was 1450. Low was back down at the 129. You can see all that stuff. All right, let's take a look at the Fable now. The Arknight Shard. So another one sold this week at 3650. Let me make sure I show you that. Another one sold this week for 1350, but it did have a little ding mark on it right there. But this was on a Facebook sold listing. Somebody sent it to me. Both buyer and seller sent it to me. Buyer was aware of the little ding mark, but there's just not anything else on the market right now. And so, they were excited to own the card. They said that they were excited to have it. So we've been at I'm going to keep the price the same point, although I do want to say that condition was lower. So you could make an argument for a more expensive card. It's just hard to see what is on the market right now and what is currently for sale. So the peak price of that was sitting at 7,500. We've dropped down below where we were at the 4,100 mark before the big initial spike. This was kind of your big initial spike that we saw, and we're actually down below where we were at the $3,600 mark of the Arknight Shard. Looking at the EV, then we're going to hop in and see what we can do. Let's see about these legendaries. As you know, we do include Twinning Blade as a legendary, as a pull rate. We are able to now control, because of the way we're doing this, the pull rate of individual cards. So we can kind of manipulate that if LSS ends up telling us what the actual pull rate of a Twinning Blade is. But here we go. We have Cheyenne. I wanted to highlight Cheyenne. First off, nothing really selling. We have the Spring Tunic that's sold on TCG Player, currently available on TCG Player for $333. So it's down 17%. I wanted to take a look at Cheyenne here because there are a metric ton of Cheyenne on the market right now on eBay. There's just a lot of them. There's one for 3,700. Our most recent sold listing is 3,360. But there's a lot of Cheyenne on the market. I wanted to make a point here that Cheyenne, whatever, is the legendary that we track that has lost the most percentage from its all-time high. If you look at these other ones, they're kind of flatlined. It's really cool to see this all on a graph. They're kind of pretty flat. Even though we had this big spike with Cheyenne, these ones didn't really spike as heavily. And that tells me one of two things. Either Cheyenne was overpriced, or we haven't yet seen a spike for like the Twinning Blade Extended. Or the Tunic. The Tunic's a little interesting because it's like kind of a reprint, but the Twinning Blade Extended, we haven't seen an increase yet, and that'll be interesting to look long term. I do not think that card is going to be an unlimited, so it'll be interesting. But I want to make the point here that Cheyenne has kind of dropped down to its close to its pre-spike numbers, but its spike was massive. And I just thought the graph was a really interesting one as you look at this mountain that's occurring there. All right, let's take a look at the Majestics. The cold foils had a busy week this week. Tons of movement in the cold foil Majestics on Facebook. Let me pop up and show you kind of the main listing that I'm referencing, although there were some that sold on eBay as well. But this lot right here sold on eBay, on Facebook. And I talked to Mark. He explained there was a little bit slight discount for the lot, but the cards, they accepted these as the values. So a Bloodsheath Skeleton, the cross wrap was not, I don't think, included. It may have been, I don't know. But the Bloodsheath Skeleton, was 800, Perch Grapplers at 280, the Model I at 550, the Node at 500, and the Gambler's Gloves at 750. And so this is, they were cheaper than the current listed on eBay. And so that's our new kind of sold listings, which is super nice to have because we haven't seen very many sold listings of these cards in the last couple weeks. But there was a Courage of Bladehood that sold as well. But this Bloodsheath, I thought this graph was super interesting as we had this huge spike and then it dropped. I mean, Bloodsheath is one of those cards that dropped significantly in Flesh and Blood in the last 2 months. Since the market turned, we didn't see a sold listing for it, and then all of a sudden we saw sold listings at like the 400. Let's see, this one's at 400. This one was at 450, I think. So we're seeing an uptick all of a sudden in a Skeleton. I know it's one sold listing, but it's one of those cards that was always more expensive, and now we're starting to see maybe a rebound happening. Gambler's Gloves is a similar one. Visiertronic kind of moving up a little bit, but Gambler's Gloves, Bloodsheath saw the biggest declines, and now they're starting to see interest at the prices that they were getting to previously. So your average cold foil Majestic is sitting at 517, which is up 23% over last week. And you can see we had a huge decline in 2 weeks of kind of medium, and then now we're maybe trying to tick back up. I don't know. We'll see if that trend continues over the next couple weeks. Looking at your your rare cold foils, your average is sitting at 121.43, which is just up about 1%. There was a harmonized Kodachi that sold on eBay this week for 200. There's also a Sledge of Anne Valheim that sold for 130. I thought this was an interesting graph too. Sledge of Anne Valheim is a weird one that saw significant increases for some reason. It just peaked really high, and then all of a sudden it's just kind of tapered off. And I think this is one of those ones where it's like if you were buying, you should be looking at the average. Back when it was at its peak of 450, no other cold foil rare was sitting at 450. It was just kind of a weird thing. But they just kept selling. I don't know if it was an individual or whatever, but it's an interesting graph. I think this card is getting back down to the price that's more realistic for it. No other huge changes. A Plasma Barrel Shot sold for 122, which is an updated price. A Redliner. It's interesting to see a couple of the cards that were in Rudy videos spiking. Like he had a bunch of Plasma Barrel Shots and he had a bunch of Redliners in a recent video. So that was kind of funny, I thought. But all right, moving on. Let's look at our Rainbow Foil Majestics. On our Rainbow Foil Majestic side, we are looking at an average price of $37.78. This is actually down 9% from last week at $41.74. And you can see this graph follows very similarly with the graph of the box prices. It'll be interesting to look at the next slide, but I want to highlight Spoils of War. Spoils of War kind of approaching more of an all-time low price, honestly, at the like $80 price point this week. It was a good buy for whoever purchased that one. Spoils of War, Gorganian Tome also seeing a really low point. I think that a lot of this is due. I see a lot of sellers on Facebook saying, I'm not sure where to price this at because Unlimited is coming out, and I would encourage people to remember what happened when WTR came out. The first edition prices didn't tank; they actually went up as a result of more players. And the biggest thing I hear is Crucible War cards are too expensive. It's preventing new players from getting into the game. So I don't know if that's true or not, but I do think Unlimited is going to be a good thing for Crucible War, in my opinion, because it's going to allow people to get the cards who maybe haven't been purchasing them. That being said, we are seeing some losses on the higher value things, whereas the mid-tier stuff is kind of going up. Coax a Commotion going up for 13%. Man, if PvE is announced, that card's going to go nuts. That card's so good in PvE. So yeah, all right, moving on. Let's go to the regular Majestics. This is a super interesting thing I wanted to highlight. We're actually up 5%. There are significant sold listings for these cards. Somebody, I think, went through and bought up a bunch of them again. We saw this happen a couple weeks ago. We saw it happen, I think it was way back here in like beginning of June. We saw a huge buy wall, and now we've seen another huge buy wall. A couple of these cards really starting to spike up. Fine Center is one that I wanted to highlight because it had a significant loss over the last 2 weeks, but now kind of back up to the price that we remember it being. It's just it's a popular card. It's a good card, whatever. So yeah, a lot of these moving, the equipment moving too, but not as much as the other cards. You can see like Gambler's Glove is down, Bloodsheath Skeleta is down, Breeze Rider Boots is up, Courage of Bladehold is down, but a lot of the movement has been in the non-equipment cards actually. All right, looking at then, I do like this like most valuable, least valuable thing. I think that's really interesting to look at if you're interested in that. Okay, I think the rares are a great sign of some things happening too. Marvin Skies, this is so cool, this graph. Now that we can pull these individual cards, it's so cool to see like a graph. Now keep in mind the rares are TCG low. But Marvin Skies is a popular card right now with Chain being played, and we're starting to see some high buy walls happening and people picking these up. I actually picked up a couple for my Chain deck too this week, and I think that this is going to be an interesting way to look at the cards, and it's going to be a lot of fun. But your most valuable are obviously your heroes and your lunging press and your springboard somersault that were all short printed. But the gainers are, you're seeing like Crane Dance moving up, you're seeing Dauntless Red moving up, and then you got some of those heroes there as well. All right, let's hop in to look at the regular rares because I think there's a lot more to gain there from what's being played. Again, Marvin Skies Blue, the number one played card right now, or the number one most valuable rare. Just seeing a lot of play right now. You got Redliners, people maybe getting excited to build some Azalea decks, Sledge of Van Valheim. Interesting to see some of these things that might be an Aria popping up again, Sledge of Van Valheim, and being a Guardian card. So Towering Titan, Marvin Skies, Talishar the Lost Prince, all the top 10 gainers this week. Not anything else really significant. Your average rare though is sitting at $1.69, which is only down 1%, but you can see again, we saw it even in the rares, you saw an increase back in this week, and now we're kind of getting back down to that price. I really think that's going to be historically where we see this kind of taper off. I really believe we're at kind of a bottom in the market based on where we started to see the rise happening. Looking at the Rainbow Foil Commons, I do want to say that we have started to include the Rainbow Foil Commons in the EV calculation because they're simply put, they are holding value and they are worth a decent amount of money. Something like Meet and Greet has seen some significant play with, I'll actually show you the sold listing here. Something like Meet and Greet, it's seeing a lot of significant play. It's actually selling at the price. There was one that sold this week. Oops, I can't pull this up when it's that small. Sorry. You can kind of see it. Let me find the Rainbow Foil one. This worked better when I was practicing. I guess if I just make it bigger, yeah, there we go. The Rainbow Foil you can see for $18 actually sold. So there are actually, people picking some of these up at around these prices. Again, it is a first edition card. People believe in that. So we are going to start including that in the EV. We'll also allow you to take it out. We'll show you the EV without them as well. Actually, I don't think that is true for the foil commons, but you can at least see how much it adds and then you can take it out yourself. But there is a decent amount of value adding in there. Plus you got the Cracked Bobble, Seismic Surge token, Out for Blood. You can see that these aren't just the tokens that are seeing some value, but it's also some cards that are seeing value as well. Chains really having an effect on the Crucible market. I gotta say that. All right, looking at the regular commons, you do have some value in some of them, but the average is just 55 cents. So, all right, looking at your EV then, this is how we calculate the EV. And then you can take out the way that you want to take it out. This is all the data for you. If you want to screenshot this, you can, and take a look at it in a little deeper way. The true EV includes all the common cards. That would be at $954.57, which is up 2% from last week. But kind of the EV that I think matters is without the common cards. So that would be $866.11, which is up from last week. It's up 3.8%. But then if you want to take out the Fable, you can see it be about $774. And if you want to take out the Legendaries as well. So this is really like your one box average, which does not include the regular commons, but does now include the foil commons. Because you can see the foil commons, they would add, foil commons add $45 to the EV. So you'd be sitting at $647.60. So keep that in mind. Again, if you want to plop out the rainbow foil commons, then you could just subtract this rainbow foil common number from that, and that's what you would get. And you can play around with the EV however you want that way. So I can't show you all of it because it would be way too convoluted. But very interesting to see all that happening. I think it will be super interesting to see what happens when Unlimited comes out. Unlimited does release on July 30th. There has not been any update to that. I would not anticipate that actually happens, honestly. That's in 10 days, and I know distributors are still doing allocations, so I do not think that will happen. Until then, you're stuck with first edition cards. Anyway, I hope that all made a lot of sense to you. Just keep in mind, if you want access to all this data, you could head on over to patreon.com/KitchenTableTCG, where you can get access to a collection tracker and a value tracker to see the value of your collection. You also get access to that discount code over at Midtown Merchant. The rest of you guys, I hope that you have a great day. Remember to be kind to people around you, and we will see you tomorrow for Arcane Rising.